In this video, I'm going to talk about what power struggles are in a relationship, how to win them, and actually turn it into something constructive so that you don't have these keep coming up over and over again. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of verbal ninjutsu that you can use with your woman, with your wife, so that you can turn a fucking knockdown, drag out argument into something where she actually opens up and you can actually seduce her from within. My name is Ed Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men, tens of thousands of men who've come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betrayed to Badass program, and that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. So power struggle happens in a relationship when both people are saying, I need something from you. In other words, they forget that the relationship is about giving, and they get into this place of, I am not getting what I need. I need you to give me what I need. So in other words, it leaves this place of love and compassion and understanding where the other person is. It leaves this place of giving the other person the benefit of the doubt. And it goes into this realm of, I need you to be different than you are. And so the power struggle happens primarily because that sentiment of, I need you to be different of how you are, is what really irritates people, because I'm not being accepted for who I am. I'm not given the benefit of the doubt. And it's like, I need you to be different. I need you to not be you. And nobody wants to hear that. So whenever you talk to your woman and you try to give her some advice or something, she'll take it as a criticism, because really what she's hearing is, I need you to be different than you are. And from her perspective, she's like, I just need you to accept me as I am. I need you to love me underneath all of this crazy or emotionality or whatever happens to come up. And then from his perspective, he's like, you should know me better than this. You know that I am not doing whatever. And stop coming at me in such a manner where you're acting like I am not capable, or I don't care about you, or I don't love you. And so from both of these perspectives, it's all about, I need to get something from you, and I'm showing you that I do not really accept who it is in front of me right now. And so this is the root of the power struggle. This is the root of these arguments. This is the root of all of it. It's this sentiment of, I need you to be different versus I can be what you need. And so relationships fundamentally are about giving. That's the whole reason you're together. You're not there to just get something from somebody. And if you're there to just get something from somebody, then that's usually going to be the problem of most of your relationship problems. If you're in a primarily manipulative relationship, it's going to be very one-sided. One person's going to try to get, and the other person just keeps complying all the time. And so what ends up happening is you end up coming up with two scenarios, and neither one of them are very helpful. The first one is someone will just hammer on you, and then you'll just comply. And oftentimes when you're just complying, you just want to keep the peace. You don't want to be dealing with this all the time, and it just keeps coming up over and over and over again. You're like, it's not worth the fight. And most men will run into this. If their wife gets spicy on them and emotional all the time, they'll just go, it's just not worth the fight. And the problem is that when you do this, you encourage more of that behavior. You're telling her, it's okay to hammer on me on getting your needs met. It is okay for me to give up myself, give up who I am, give up my own wants, needs, and desires just to make you happy. And so this is a slippery slope. It's like the foot in the door technique. Give an inch, take a mile. And you'll notice that what you tolerate in this space, you encourage. So if your woman's doing this over and over again and you're like, I don't want to deal with it, and you just comply and capitulate, then what ends up happening is you'll notice that it gets worse over time. And if she keeps doing this, it'll just wear you down to the point where you're like, everything is an argument and I don't even want to deal with this. So I am now dancing around her emotions. I'm dancing around this place and I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. And so in this place, you can't bring anything up, because now you've set the standard that she's going to hammer on you and you're just going to comply. And now when you try to say something, you try to speak up, she immediately gets defensive, because you've trained the situation, you've trained your wife to be this way. The second way is you'll get to that point where you just can't fucking stand it anymore, and she'll hammer on you, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go into the fight. I'm going to go into this fight. I'm going to win this fight, and we're just going to hammer it out. And the problem is that doesn't help either. Then it becomes super emotional, completely spins out of control. And then you wonder to yourself, why am I so angry all the time? Why do I'm not like this outside of this relationship. I'm not like this with other people. And so this anger, this emotional outburst that you have towards her, she'll then turn it around and start labeling you as abusive. You're emotionally abusive. You have anger issues. You got to deal with your anger. You should go to anger management or something. So now you get gaslighted into thinking that something's wrong with you, when really it's like you're just frustrated because you're being taken advantage of for a long time and you're just tired of dealing with it. And so you don't know what else to do. So you just get angry. And you'll know that this isn't really your issue. It's an issue of dealing with her setting you off. And so she leaves the picture, you don't get angry anymore. And we know this because you're not like this everywhere else. You're pretty calm. You're pretty centered. You're easy to get along with. And you're not all the things that she's saying that you are. And so when you find yourself in a situation, realize that both of those, where you just comply or you try to control her, neither one of them work. And so we have to figure out what's the play here underneath all of this. And the problem is she's trying to convey something to you, and we're not able to get to the root of it. Now, with that being said, you shouldn't tolerate abuse. You shouldn't tolerate her name calling you. You shouldn't tolerate manipulation or shaming you or guilting you for anything. These are all emotional abuse. And when this happens, you have to set 100% solid boundaries and not engage with the person doing this. And so we have to call it out. Whenever she's trying to manipulate you, she's trying to guilt you or shame you, or she falls into victim, which is how the manipulation works, she will make a victim statement which says, you are responsible for how I feel right now. And if she makes this manipulative statement, this victim statement, and you buy into it, she's like, well, nobody ever listens to me, which is, I have nobody listening to me, and I cannot control that nobody listens to me, and so it's your responsibility to listen to me, and if you don't, you're a bad husband. This is the whole subtext along with this, and you're like, I'm trying to listen to you right now. She's like, even if you listen, you'd never understand, right? So now this is how the manipulation game goes in. You accept the victim game. So if you find any kind of emotional manipulation, you need to call it out and shut it down. You don't need to engage with this kind of behavior, nor should you, because all it does is embolden the manipulator, and it teaches them, again, what you tolerate, you encourage. It emboldens the manipulator to do more of it. And if you're finding that you can't get yourself out of the situation because of this, just realize it's because you've built this over many years, and you've trained her to do this, and she does it because she can get away with it. So how do we deal with this situation? First, you have to detach. You have to not take what she says personal, even though she's making personal attacks. And you're like, Ed, how the fuck do I do this? Well, we deal with this all the time in a Broken to Badass program and the newer Soul Seducer program. If you want more information on that, link is in the description below. But in this program, we teach you how to detach. And so we have to keep our emotional self-control, our emotional resiliency very centered. We cannot take personal what she's saying, even though they are personal attacks. And so you have to be this silent witness and just kind of watch what's happening. Watch all this crazy unfolding in front of you. Watch this hurricane, watch the storm, and don't be of it. Now you say, how do I do this? Well, we have techniques that we can show you, but a lot of the times you can just do this by just knowing the fact that she's in this space. If you're just saying, okay, I can depersonalize this and not take this as a personal attack. Just watch and observe the chaos happening in front of me like I'd be watching a YouTube video. And then from this place, the second step is, what is it that she's really looking for here? What is it that she truly needs? And you'll find that underneath all the anger or frustration, whatever, there's some desire that's not being met underneath that. And it can take some digging in there, and we get into that in depth, like role playing and all that stuff in the Soul Seducer program. But generally what you're going to try to do is ask her some questions. Instead of making statements, instead of getting defensive and trying to correct the record, no, baby, it's not like that, it's like this. Instead of saying stuff like that, you're going to ask her questions like, so why would you say that? And tell me more about this. And through this line of questioning, you can get her to open up. And if you're smart and you can start working this, and this takes skill and it takes practice. Again, we do have scripts and stuff like this which you can go through. But if you go through this and you're able to open up this conversation, she'll reveal some more in depth about what's really happening. Because the behavior that's expressing to you isn't really what's going on within her. This is just how she knows how to express it, because she can't tell you exactly what it is, or she's afraid to tell you exactly what it is because it'd make her feel vulnerable. And if she feels vulnerable, she won't feel safe and she won't want to say it. So we have to ask her these questions, and she will dance around it. And she will put up smoke screens, and she will gaslight. And so it's really up to you how much you want to endure this process. But if you want to really figure this out, if you understand your woman, if you understand her traumas, and then you can speak to the woman in there, this is going to help you defuse 99% of the problems. And so we want to speak to the need. That's level 3. So 1 is depersonalize. 2, try to see what's going on within her. What's the real issue here? And 3, let's speak to that need, not all the crazy that she's talking about. So for instance, if your wife is overwhelmed and she's just seeing angry and she's just slamming cabinets and stuff, if you immediately go into, yeah, she's angry at me, you've already lost, because you haven't, 1, depersonalized it. 1, you depersonalize it. Then 2, you ask her a question. You try to see what's going on. If you have her history, you're going to know kind of what's happening already. But you can't see it if you haven't depersonalized it. You're going to think it's all about you. You're going to immediately think you're the fucking problem. And so we see this, we say, okay, what's the need in there? And if you're unsure, you say, hey, you seem angry and frustrated and overwhelmed. Why is that? So we make it depersonalized questions. You don't say, are you angry at me? And you don't come in there and go, hey, how do I save you? How do I make you feel better? You don't do any of that stuff. We're not here to save her. We're not here to save her from her emotional state. All we are is here to be a sounding board, and we give her an invitation to use that sounding board, it's that space that you're creating for her to then express what's going on. And she might say, well, these kids are doing all this stuff, and Johnny's over here not getting ready for all this. And so you say, okay, well, she's upset about that, but what's the thing underneath it? If you watch, the thing underneath it is she's just overwhelmed. It's not that the fact that Johnny didn't eat his breakfast and the kids can't get their backpacks together for school. What it is, you're just overwhelmed and it's too much and you're bumping up on time, and then that drives up the overwhelm even more. So now she's getting upset and angry. And she doesn't have any abilities at this point to really get the kids in order faster, so then the yelling starts to happen. The banging starts to happen, the fear, the cutting, the shaming, the guilting of everybody to try to get these people into compliance of what needs to happen. The kids got to get ready for school. And so what ends up happening is she creates the wrong problem. She creates more of a problem because now the kids will slow down. They'll get passive aggressive with her, which then sends her even more over the moon. If you could address the thing where she's overwhelmed, then we know how to come up with a solution here. Once she understands that it's overwhelmed, then you can say, okay, she's just overwhelmed. Then you can jump in to help get the kids going where they need to go, or whatever happens to be, and then we can come back. Then we can come back and address the root cause of it, which is there's not enough structure in the morning routine, which is another fundamental thing that men should be doing in their relationships. This is how you lead, is by creating structure and enforcing the structure when necessary and when applicable, and sometimes you even have to train your wife on how to hold that structure with the kids. And so in this situation, she would be overwhelmed. And so we want to speak to that. Step 4 is we want her to see that we can see what's happening. So you could say a bunch of I see statements like, I see that you're overwhelmed. I see that you're not really sure what needs to happen here in the morning. And I see that you need help with the kids right now. So this is what I'm going to do. And that's what you do. You just say that. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, my needs actually been addressed. I'm overwhelmed and I need help. But she's not going to say that. She's just going to lash out at everybody. You'll see that there is a need underneath what's happening, and then you'll see her and then state that you see her, and then you should see her start to open up to you. And if she doesn't, that means there should be more digging, or maybe she wants to hold on to that anger, because sometimes, and oftentimes, anger is an armor, and she may hold on to that anger for a while. But you now see what the problem is, and now that you've seen it, you know what the structure is, and now we can start making boundaries against her yelling at the kids and against how the morning routine is set up, and then get that handled coming forward. Most of your relationships with your woman is about being able to see the person inside, being able to look into her soul and see what's really going on within her. And what that requires is you have to be able to do that with yourself first. If you do not have the skills necessary to be calm, emotionally resilient, to be able to see what's going on within yourself, you're never going to be able to see what's going on within her. And so you have to be able to be the guy who self-sustains. You have to be able to be the guy who creates himself in solid in his frame, solid in his life, and doesn't need the approval of his wife. If you're this guy who's needing the approval of his wife, then what'll end up happening is you'll fall into her frame, you'll fall under her game, and you'll always fall under the control of her. And then when you try to step out of it, you'll just get manipulated. And so you, being this guy, you're never going to be this place where you can really seduce your woman from within. Why? Because she doesn't trust that you really see her. She doesn't trust that you can lead her. And she doesn't trust that you can come up with a solution, really stick to your guns. And so that's the whole purpose of the Soul Seducer program, is to take a situation where you really just allowed it to happen. When your woman gets this way and she gets upset and angry, not always. Sometimes we're dealing with borderline personality disorder or narcissism. But outside of those categories, when you're in a situation where the woman starts acting like this is because you have failed to lead the relationship up until this point. You, as the man and the provider and the leader of the family, you have to set the standard for how you operate. And some people are higher on the emotional scale of understanding this than others. And so if you find yourself low on the emotional scale and she's lower on the emotional intelligence scale, you're going to find a lot of collisions. You're dealing with lack of emotional resiliency from both of you and ineffective tools in order to move forward into having a good soulmate situation. So if you're in this kind of situation, you want to learn how to get out of it very quickly. Check out the link in the description below and check out the Soul Seducer program, because that's the whole point of it, to see the woman inside and seduce her from within, and then open her up and pivot all these arguments, all this conflict, all this stuff, and turn it into a magical moment. In fact, the more that you do this, the more that you can be the leader in your relationship. It's like having a garden and tending it properly and getting the weeds out of it. And your woman will flower. She will blossom. And she'll become this nice woman who's emotionally stable and really appreciative of you, desires you intensely, and is completely devoted to you. But men who don't know how to tend the garden ends up having a garden full of weeds. And it chokes out all the love and attraction in the relationship. And then she says stuff like, I just fell out of love, or I don't love you anymore, and I don't really know why. I'm just not interested in sex with you anymore. And for a lot of wives, I would say the majority of wives are dealing with this situation where they're just not attracted to their husband. They're just having consolation sex with him. Like, she's not really that attracted to him, but she's interested in sex, yeah, just not with him. Why? Because he has allowed this to happen for a long time. He's just kind of like the passenger on this train of life that she's in, and he's not the conductor. He's not the one leading the charge or showing the two main categories that need to be shown in a relationship, which is power and connection. When one of these two things falls apart, everything falls apart. Anyways, brother, if you like this video, hit the like button. Other people will see it if you hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these, certainly hit subscribe. And if you want to absolutely dominate in the game of relationships and in your marriage, check out Soul Seducer in the description below. Anyways, brother, I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.